Hi everyone, my name is Choua and I'm a co-founder of Cali and Dana. I work on operations and brand management.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ali, and I'm also a co-founder of Cali and Dana, and I support financially and help with operations.
Hi, my name is Dana, and I am in charge of the creative.
Awesome. And Cali and Dana is really the go-to brand for curvy petite women looking to find the perfect pair of jeans that they'll want to wear until what we like to say it's vintage. We specialize in designing clothing for women who are often neglected in the industry and try to bring to life a lot of these comfortable staple pieces that really deserve a place in their closet. In addition, recently we've been also extending our line and working on very limited time, small batch pieces, mostly done by hand by Dana, or done locally in the New York area to fit beyond our curvy petite woman.
Ladies, it is so awesome to meet you guys. I'm so excited. So as I've mentioned many times, I do zero research in regards of what you guys do. And I have the same 7 set of questions that I ask everyone. Sometimes I get through all 7, sometimes I just get to 2 or 3, depending on what you're saying. I'm constantly intrigued because I was that kid, that 10-year-old kid, that 9-year-old kid, the little kid where my mom and dad were like, she's going to get kidnapped. She talks to everybody and she's so curious all the time.
I say the same thing about my daughter. You're too friendly.
She has roles. See, I will tell you, this is your daughter, all right? This is my daughter. All right, so before we even start about the product, which I'm very excited because I always tell people if you wanna go jean shopping, I'm the one that you should go with because I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you if it's good or bad because they're friends. You know that their friends are like, oh, they look good. They don't. So I'm so happy to dive into this one because that reference I use all the time. So before we go there, I always say before a business, you need to know the person. If we're talking about our iPhones, we know it's Steve Jobs. If we're talking about Harpo production, we know it's Oprah Winfrey. Let's get to know small business owners and creators and innovators on a human level before we know your product. So going around, let's talk about the little U's. Where did you guys all come from? Where do you live? Where did you come from? Talk about what makes you you.
Well, I'm in Jersey City. I was born in Thailand, and then my parents came over here to the US. We settled in Michigan. And then I went to undergrad at Central Michigan University and then ended up out in the New York area with a job. And I met a boy and I kind of just stayed out here. And then I met these wonderful women and we started this. And so it's going to be hard to leave this area, but right now I'm in Jersey City.
And I'm in Woodridge, New Jersey as well. So I'm actually not too far from Choua. I'm originally from Senegal and I moved to the US when I was 17, going to college. So I went to college in Atlanta. And then after that, moved up north. So from DC and then I ended up in New York. And I met Choua in grad school at Fordham. And since then, we're stuck together.
And I was actually born in South Korea and I was adopted and I grew up in Michigan for most of my life. And as soon as I graduated from my undergrad at Central Michigan University, along with Choua, that's how we met. And I actually accepted a job in South Carolina for a year and then realized New York is where I absolutely needed to be. So I made the move and I've been in New York City ever since, and I live in Harlem.
I love that you guys, because there's 3 of you and there's like, you just dipped into I'm just gonna give a little taste of who I am, but I want to dive in a little bit more where 3 international, all right, so I was born in America, but I was conceived in Haiti. So I was conceived in Haiti. My mom came here at 8.5 months. I was in that bubble of learning how to speak English when I was around 7 or 8 years old when I learned how to speak English because we were in the bubble of only speaking either French or Haitian Creole. Tell me about how it was being raised you're international. You have the entire concept of discovering who you are, your culture, the foods. Who were you when you were younger? How did people perceive you? How did you navigate your world growing up as a first generation individual in this country?
Yeah, I think for me, because we were in refugee camps in Thailand, and then I came here when I was 2, and then being exposed to like, the Lutheran Church, who really helped to sponsor us, that gave me a different perspective. You're balancing 2 different cultures. So like my cultural background is Hmong, Hmong, and there was this like secret war that was going on during the Vietnam War, and that's really how we ended up here in the U.S. And so it was really helping my parents do like paperwork, and all of a sudden you're like 10 filling out your parents' medical forms and asking them questions, and you're kind of their guide into the American life while they're working 8 to 10 hour jobs, trying to get as much overtime as possible. And I have 3 younger brothers as well, so it was also being the oldest daughter to try to set that example for them. And so for me, it was like growing up a little bit fast, but trying to also enjoy those moments and creating moments for yourself when you actually get to college and you're stepping out into the real world. So that was it for me. It's like a balancing of cultures in terms of food, and understanding like what I wanted to eventually become as a person. I think a lot of that definitely goes right back to my parents and like their roots and like my own Hmong culture and trying to find your own identity. I think for the longest time, I didn't really think that my people existed because there were no textbooks about us. They didn't teach Hmong culture or like the Vietnam War really in school. So you just kind of thought like your people was kind of a myth, and we didn't have a country either. But like I think food and culture helped connect us in a way that it brought to life what was real, because you're actually eating and tasting and being around family and people, and that's kind of where I started to understand my identity more. And as I got older, I was able to go back to Thailand, realize where my my family was from, and then kind of make those connections and become my own individual person. And I think a lot of that goes back into like our business as well and how we think through our customers.
So it's a bit different for me because I'm not first generation. I wasn't born here. I didn't grow up here. So I mean, I came in, I was a young adult, going, to school, going to college. So I already had my culture and my traditions, and growing up around my people pretty much, and just having the identity ingrained in me that was pretty strong. So I didn't really experience the fact of trying to know who I am or where I'm from, as I know a lot of first generations do. But it was definitely a learning experience to try to understand the people here and how they react and what they do based on, history and what happened and within the country. And also it gives me, like, coming from the other side of the pond and coming from somewhere where we know where we're from, we know who we are, and then coming to somewhere where they don't know, and not fault to them, which is so sad to me. But like, it was a learning. I'll teach them and they'll teach me. So it was definitely, it helped me assimilate better into this country. And then I have very deep roots with my background. I go there all the time, go back, my family lives there. So, but I am raising a first generation American, so we'll see how that goes. I still like for her to, I make sure that she connects to where we are from, so she knows where she's from. She knows that, who her family is, and she knows her culture, her traditions. So I make it a big point to do that, because I don't want her to be in a situation where she asks a lot of questions. But I think the benefits for that is like being a first generation here and still keeping that connection from back home really is going to help her with her identity and just not be confused to a certain level.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think for me it's similar to what Choua was saying. You just kind of, when you grow up in a predominantly white area, and you're maybe one of a handful of minority or people of color in the community, it's a little confusing when you're younger. And I think that's kind of why I'm here in New York, right? You want to get ties to your heritage. And for me, a lot of it was through food and just kind of experimenting. I think diversity for me is really a major part of my growing up and just where I'm at now. So moving away from Michigan was sad because all of my family is there and I love them dearly. But New York is just the epicenter of diversity. you know, that we're just one big melting pot. So I think that's what really drew me here. And that's where I think I'm going to pretty much lay roots here, you know?
The three of you come from very unique backgrounds, and then you found a way to come together. What was that? Who was the person that started where did the idea come from? Where did the idea come from? How did it get developed, and how did you guys come together and say like, hey, guess what? Let's just do something together.
Yeah, so you can't tell with Zoom, but I'm only 5 foot. And
I'm 5'4", and honestly, my chair is up. So
I'm like standing right now. So I think for me growing up, it's like, you know, I wasn't quite petite, and where it's like you've got maybe like a smaller frame. I mean, I've got thighs, you know, and like my arms are just like a little bit bigger than what this fashion industry tells you what petite should be. And so growing up trying to find jeans that would fit me, and it's not just me, it's like many women who struggle, and we're all settling. You know, we shouldn't have to settle because we don't look like the person that's on the runway. And so I guess I've been struggling for like 20 some years, and then went to grad school and met Allie. And after we had graduated, we were catching up for dinner, and we were just kind of sharing and venting our struggles with, you know, trying to find jeans that would fit us. You know, I would consider myself curvy petite, where I've got, you know, bigger thighs, but shorter legs. And Allie is curvy as well. So we just decided, hey, you know what, let's try to solve a problem and bring that to life. And so we started working together on kind of like building like the shell out. And then I reached out to Dana because I knew that she had been in the fashion industry for so long, but didn't really have a chance to like connect to really dig deeper. And so we went out for drinks, and I kind of just told her and pitched her the idea, and it just became Cali and Dana. And that's where we ended up. And she has the jeans, the denim, she's the denim background. And that's really what we needed her in order to bring it all to life. Because like Allie and I have like the business and the operations and the marketing background, but we didn't know the fashion industry and who to talk to, what shows to go to, how do you even get into these shows to even have anyone talking to you. And that's where Dana really pulled in a lot of her expertise to get us there, because without her, we wouldn't have been able to start our first production and really get our business launching.
One, by the way, your name, so darn cute now. Now I get it. Because as you're saying, I'm like, oh my God, so darn cute. Bravo.
You're like, who's Cali?
Bravo. Well done. Because that is one of those moments where people are like coming up with names and things like that. I'm like, I look, as you guys were talking, I'm like, oh, it's so good. So one of so when I was saying how because I'm very, very frank. I mean, I talk to everyone and anyone. I don't hold back the punches. I tell people all the time, I am your mom, I'm your nana, I'm your 10-year-old niece and nephew that has no filter. I'm that person that you want to go jean shopping with. It is by far the most craziest thing. And when that movie came out, the that movie was so amazing for me, because I'm like, if there was a jean that could fit 5 of your friends, that would be amazing. It would be amazing, because every woman knows the pain point of finding the right jeans. Because I have a small waist, but now I have a butt, but now all of a sudden, like as I'm getting older, I have hips. Where do those hips come from? All right. Where? So like Gap jeans are the only jeans that work for me, but I have to get them tailored because there's like a little pocket. I call it the quarter pocket. You just throw a little quarter inside the little back of it. So everyone has a story with the different jeans. You could have gone with any route of any item where like I go, hey, I'm going to get a bikini, but the bottom fits, but the top doesn't. There's so many different places because everyone's body is different. And no matter how many times you tell me there's a pear body or a hourglass body, whatever is, we're constantly changing. Our bodies are constantly changing throughout our years. And it's not that we're gaining weight. It's just like things are just shifting. If I'm running when I run marathons, my body changes from when I'm training versus when I'm not training. Why did you decide to go the jean route of all fashion routes?
I think it's also the hardest for me personally to hem. It's like I can't just bust out a sewing machine and I can hem other types of materials. But denim is very difficult to hem. But not just that, it's like, is it stretch? Is it 100% cotton? What type of fibers and materials are going into it in order for it to fit you properly? And so and also jeans are like a staple piece. And it's like sometimes you just really want to wear a pair of jeans. And how sad is it that you can't find a pair of jeans that would actually fit you and you're struggling to find the most basic item out there? And so we just wanted to really try to solve that problem. And for me, it's like all I wear is just like Cali Dana jeans now, because it's like, what's the point of wearing or spending money on anything else just to get it tailored? Because that's like, it's not fair for us to tailor jeans and adding, like, we're already paying $100 some for a pair of jeans, and then you're going to add another $40-50 on top of that to get it tailored. And tailoring denim is not cheap. And so that's kind of where we started, was like, let's take care of the issue first.
Well, all right. So Dana, you were in this industry. It's saturated. It's a saturated market. Although it's hard to find the right jeans, there's so many jeans that are out there. So how did you guys even get to that point where, like, doing the R&D of discovering how do I squeeze into this world when there's so many people in there? And you guys, you mentioned it where how are we going to be seen? So how are you seen amongst all these people that already are in the industry? And how did you find a way to make get that little inroad?
So I think that not only do we have just an extensive network that also fits our niche brand, I think that it's very needed, just kind of how you were talking about our body shifting, right? Because I am actually 5'6", and I'm not very curvy, but I am athletic. And then also, because I'm Asian, I have shorter legs. So I kind of understand the nuances of women's bodies and how they need to be shaped, and the fabrics and all of those things that a lot of people I think mass market doesn't pinpoint those issues. They're just going on a grading scale, and it's just industry standard. So I think that for us, we just had to get our product in our hands. We had to put it on the line. We had to figure out how to market it on Instagram, on Facebook, on all social media platforms. We're even on TikTok. Pinterest is a big one for us now as well. But more recently, we've realized, after coming out of quarantine and just the effects of COVID, that we needed to get this product in front of people. People want to shop. They want to physically see something. They want to try it on. As much as we hate trying on clothes, if it's actually made for us, it's more intriguing. So we kind of had to pioneer that journey for ourselves. And we started actually creating and running our own pop-ups. So we've done 2 now, and we're planning on doing more. We've just done it in New Jersey and in New York, just for our local communities. And the response has been amazing. We also offer, free returns and exchanges online, because we know how it feels when your size doesn't fit you and then you're just frustrated. So we try to make it as easy as possible, because we know how that feels. So for us, it's been very rewarding, like seeing people in our jeans, like at these pop-ups, and just saying, I have waited for you for so long. Where have you been? And like, now I have these jeans that I can keep for so long. Thank you so much. And they just keep asking us, when are you coming out with new fits? When are you coming out with new products? So the response has been great. And we just hope to keep that momentum going.
I think that's one of the things that, when you just said the pop-up shops, New York, New Jersey, love that. They just, the pop-up shops are so popular, because you don't want to go, like, back in the day when we first came, when my parents first came to New York, Macy's was a big thing. I remember school shopping, going to Macy's, it was the thing. And you're seeing people with their brown bags. It was Bloomingdale's, Macy's, you knew. It was like a huge aspect of, like, we're going school shopping, look at everyone with their bags. It's no longer that. It is no longer that. And the boutique shops, the small shops, are where people are going. And the pop-up shops really have made it where I can go to school, I can go to work, and I'm not wearing what everyone else has, because with a pop-up shop, everything is it's custom made, it's unique. There's only a small run of the items, and so it makes it look a lot better and more enjoyable for someone to shop. It's like if I went overseas to get something versus like if I'm going to a big store. When you are within the pop-up shops, with all your competitors, how are they seeing you? Like, how are you being perceived?
I think overall very well. There's actually not a ton of vendors that I think maybe we've seen that are selling denim specifically, because a lot of times they want to get into actual stores. You know, they want to go the wholesale route, and the wholesale route is great. I mean, I wish we could do that as well, but trying to be sustainable and be mindful of our consumption, we do very small minimums, kind of like what you were speaking about, just being very unique in that we're not producing thousands of pieces of these. We're just doing very small limited runs. So that's why the pop-ups work for us. And then not having other people who are in just the denim industry at these pop-ups is also very unique to us. Yeah. So we hope to keep branching out. Hopefully Philly might be next. We're not sure.
What is for each of you the highs and lows of owning your business, or maybe not even just that's a startup? Because during this pandemic, we've had people that have been laid off, furloughed, graduated from school that couldn't find a job, got an offer and then the offer was pulled back, or pretty much I'm at this job, I'm getting paid, I can't stand it. How do I get out? And the three of you guys have decided, you know, like what were you doing prior to this adventure? And also, what are the highs and the lows of being involved in this?
Well, I actually still work a full-time job along with doing Cali Dana, and Cali Dana is also a co-founding vendor of another organization called ACE, which is API Creatives and Entrepreneurs, which helped us pioneer a pop-up event organization for the New York City area. So along with all of that, I'm like really, really busy. But I would say like the highs is when you hear customers just say how much they love your jeans and they try it on and they just come out dancing. And we have videos of this and you just like keep watching it over and over again. And like you didn't ask them to do anything. They literally try on your jeans, come out and can't wait to show everybody else. And I think that for me is the high. The low is the struggle with the industry is, you know, when you are a small business owner, you want to do small batch for your own vision and mission, but also like the capabilities. It's just not there for you at a price where it's sustainable for businesses. And I think, especially in the fashion industry, we need to be able to figure out how to open that up more so that more creatives and fashion designers and entrepreneurs can have access to that. Because right now we want to be sustainable. We want to do everything we can in our power to get fabric that is biodegradable or is 100% cotton. And in order to do that, you have to buy thousands and thousands of yards or put in your minimums at thousands and thousands of pairs of jeans. And it's just like, but we don't want to do that because we don't want to add to the consumption that Dana was talking about. We want to be thoughtful in how we produce these pieces. And so for me, that's really my low is like you get off a phone with a factory and you're like, okay, wasn't for us this time, but we'll keep searching. But you know, perseverance, we're not going to stop. We're going to be very persistent in trying to find the partner. And hey, you know what? One day if we can't find a partner, we do a lot of things that we can't do. If we can't do it, we'll probably just do it by ourselves and create the way to get there.
So for me, just like Choua, I do work as well at the same time. I do consult for a management consulting company, and I also work for my father. So I'm very busy.
Wait, what do you do for your father?
I do operations actually for my father. So like, you know, handle all the operations of his company. So, and on top of that, take care of a toddler. So I'm extremely busy, but you know, I feel like these two girls, man, I cannot thank them enough for like say anything that's like big enough to describe how great they've been to like handle it. But I think like the highs for this was definitely our first pair of jeans that was officially live when we first started like selling, because we went through a lot of like samples and all that, but when we first had like that concrete Ruthie jean, that's our first jean that we made, but like named after, of course, RBG, as you know. And we just, it was great. It was like such a fulfilling feeling, and it's just like, okay, we legit. We finally legit, because everything else was like, yeah, we have the name, we have this and all of that, so we were finally legit there. And then I think the lows was definitely going through the administrative part of it, like the paperwork behind putting a business together is ridiculous. So there was a lot of like trial and error, and a lot of like try to reach out to different folks, lawyers, legals, or administration, just getting our ducks in a row from a legal part and administration part is, they don't make it easy for small businesses out there to do it. And I know a lot of people must have given up halfway through it because it was so much from trademarking and all of that. I mean, it was just a lot. So it was one of the lows. So that's why when we were first legit, I was like, man, all this pain was so worth it. But yeah, so that would be that.
I think for me, the highs, I think probably just Cali Dana in general. I think launching, that was like a huge milestone for us because we did it in COVID-19 and a pandemic. We couldn't even get together for a photo shoot. Poor Choua and her husband had to do a photo shoot by themselves. Ali dropped off her photo equipment to do it. I did all the photoshopping and the website. Like, so the launching was like major. It was like a weight lifted off our shoulders. We were like, okay, we did it. We're here. And now where do we go? Right. So the lows I share with Choua, just the everyday frustrations of, I think the constant, not really rejections, but just the constant no's. You know, things just don't work out for us because we're a small business. And it's so frustrating because you hear every day, like, oh, support small business, oh, do this for small, but then the foundation of what you need for that small business is sometimes very unattainable. So that gets really frustrating. But we've managed so far. We have a solid foundation between the three of us. Excuse me. And I think for me, one of my highs is having them, because I'm not a business person. I've never claimed to be. I've always been in design. I'm not like a salesperson. I don't know numbers. So they are a godsend, basically. So that's it for me.
I love the fact that you guys have you're pulling in all your different resources, which is amazing. I always say that as a business owner, one of the things I get sad about, I mean, I'm a consultant, and to have a team is just I mean, like I'm going to lay my shoulder on I'm just going to put my head on your shoulder as I cry in the corner right now because it is painful. And oh my God, Adi, in regard to the paperwork, I think I was so busy and I was balancing the paperwork that I never realized how hard it was and how many different things, because I had other stuff to do, like, I don't know, get clients. So when there was like another thing to fill out, I'm like, okay, good, I'll fill it out, gotta go. And so I'm with you all in regards of like the photo shoots and like, it just, I get 100% what you guys are going through. Joey, your husband was part of the photo shoot with you. Let's talk about that, where for all of you guys, family and friends, you have jobs, you're brilliant women, clearly. I mean, I'm talking to 3 brilliant women, all right, not just smart, not educated, but brilliant women that came together. Family and friends were like, why would you put something else on your plate? Why don't you get a regular job? What was that like when you were like, you told your family members, yeah, so by the way, I'm doing this. What was the conversation for all of you?
Yeah, I would say my husband, and bless him, for really doing that first photo shoot, because that man he's like doesn't even really know how to work a camera, and a professional camera that is. We had like a 30-minute training session on that as well. So, but you know what? Towards the end, he was doing really good. I was like, okay, you got some artistic, photography in you. But he was still supportive, and is still so supportive now, which is so important, because we are always running around, and sometimes you just are taking calls or texting over dinner, and to have, to try to find balance in that too, because you need to like tell yourself, all right, I gotta chill, and like my people know like that, it's around dinner time, but at the same time, that you have to answer back, or that you have to answer something on IG and respond back to a customer. So it's just like having that support of like acknowledging like, hey, I know you're really busy. I know you're taking care of this message. I'm not going to get upset at you. It's like this unspoken support system, because that's less stress that you really have to deal with. And then for my parents, they have always had this idea of like you being a professional, but recently they're all about being entrepreneurs and really supporting us in being entrepreneurs, because I think they're really seeing like this idea of you owning your own path. And although we can do that in like a professional career, the sky is kind of like limitless when you own your own business. And so my parents have supported my brother, who opened a restaurant a couple of years ago down in Dallas. And then when I told them that we were doing this, they were like cheering us on and gave us a little bit of seed money to kind of, help us keep our account from getting charges of $12 every month, because you can't keep a balance. And so they helped us, get over that hump of, getting those nonsense charges. And so they've been really supportive, and friends as well. Like a lot of our first purchases were from our friends. And that's, it was like pretty much crowdfunding without actually doing the crowdfunding piece, where like our friends were buying our products, and we sold out of our sweatshirts in the first run because everybody wanted one. And so the support system has just been amazing from that sense. Of course, I'm still in my day job now. So for my husband, he's just like, you just got to remember to, balance, and it's okay if like, you aren't doing everything perfect. But you got to remember to keep yourself whole when you're doing these. So yeah.
So for me, from my family, it was a no-brainer, because I come from two entrepreneur parents. So my dad owned his own company that he built from the ground up for 30 years, and my mom, having worked for someone a day in her life, she does like commerce and international trade and all that. So I was already coming from two people that just own their own business. So entrepreneurial was engraved in me. And my dad always told me as I was growing up, be independent, don't depend on someone, be independent, work hard so you don't have to worry about depending on someone. So in a way, it was like, depending on someone for, I don't know, a company or a man, whoever, whatever it was, but it was really like that build up in me, that idea of just like, okay, I have to own my own, and I don't want to be working for someone for the rest of my life. So I want to build like a legacy also for my kids and for her kids and so forth and so on. So just like continuing that entrepreneurial side of the family. So
Love it.
Yeah. My family was extremely supportive. I think that they just didn't know when I would become an entrepreneur. I think they kind of knew eventually I would, just because most designers do try. But I was always nervous because I didn't have the business background. So I never wanted to try because I didn't want to fail. So I've always been in corporate design. And speaking of like being laid off, I was laid off due to COVID. So we had already had Cali and Dana like well under our belt. We were getting ready to launch. It took a little bit longer than we wanted to launch, but we ended up doing it, and they were super supportive. I mean, like Choua said, they support us by purchasing anything they can, anything that fits them, they buy. Anything we launch, they buy. So they've been extremely supportive. So we're very blessed to have our families and friends.
February, the buzz starts happening. Like there's something going on. Like there's something in the air at like end of February. middle of March, the world shuts down. What happened to you personally and professionally at that time? Dana, I'm going to start with you because you just mentioned how you were laid off. What was that like for you guys? I mean, you are working, you have your families. Oh yeah, by the way, I have a startup company as well that I'm launching. What were your feelings when the buzz started happening and you're thinking, am I in it? Am I not? And then when dramatic, it was like everything is shut down. What happened for you guys from that point on to where you are right now? And you guys can just all jump in.
So it was a little surprising for me personally, I think, because I was the only denim designer in the brand that I was working for at the time. And I had been at the company for 9 years. So I wasn't really sure. I knew there were going to be layoffs because it's very, very common, unfortunately, in the design industry to be laid off for multiple reasons. I was laid off in 2008 because of the recession.
Yep.
I was laid off due to a division closing. And then now COVID. So I don't want to say
you are not a rookie to this.
I am not a rookie to being laid off. I'm not a rookie to filing for unemployment. I will say it was still shocking though, because I think I had been there for so long at the company that I was kind of expecting to stay on a little bit longer at least. So March 30th hit and I got the news over a Zoom call with the other employees at that time that were all being let go. So it was shocking, but everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
We had Cali and Dana well underway. So now I just get to keep working for Cali and Dana. So, I mean, that's kind of a win-win for me. Now I get to spend all of my time, all of my efforts towards what I really want to do. So it turned out to be okay, I guess. I freelance here and there. So, that helps supplement. But we are also self-funded.
Yep.
So, it kind of takes a toll, but, the pros outweigh the cons.
You have total control over there. Okay. And ladies, what was it like for you guys during that time?
I was actually in the food industry at that time.
Did you say you were?
Yes, in the food industry. Yes. I'd been in the food industry for 10 plus years. That's like the core of my background is in food operations and then brand management and marketing. And so I was working for a company that was starting to expand internationally. And that was where I was starting to travel. And I was actually in London in February. And then I came back. And then all of a sudden, like we started hearing news about, the offices potentially being shut down. And so then I actually did a little bit of a career shift. And so I ended up going to consumer packaged goods and completely out of the food industry now. I don't touch anything in food. It makes me a little bit sad, but it also has given me so many more skills that I did not have, and really challenged me to understand so much more about P&Ls and marketing and digital and media management that I can, roll all back into Cali and Dana. And then for me personally, I learned, I picked up Japanese again. During COVID, I picked up my flute again and worked on Cali and Dana. I used every minute that I could during COVID to figure out how to do all the things I could not do while I was still working. And that has been a real blessing for me.
Can I tell you how when you don't have a commute, there's so much more time in your day?
No, it's amazing what you can do if you just get up a little bit earlier and save an hour on commute.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So for me, it was definitely a strange time because I was trying to get back in the country before it shut down. I was actually in March, I was actually in Senegal, and I was like, oh shoot, I have to get back before they shut down. And I was telling my dad, I said, listen, I have to get back soon before they shut down. So I made it. I think I made it 2 days before they completely shut down. And I was just home. So it gave me a lot of times to actually focus, do a lot more for my dad on his business side, especially from like the oil industry. The oil industry kind of never shut down in that prospect. So so I was able to like learn way more new skills from an operational standpoint, to kind of implement that, because I was focusing majority of my time on it. And then it also allowed me to spend way more time with my daughter one-on-one, because we were cooped up in the house one-on-one, just her and I, for like 6 months. So that was challenging, but also rewarding. And as far as like new skills and professionally, I learned more how to code HTML. So I worked more on my coding skills and try to like look at websites in a different way, and hopefully build websites that I can with that new skill. So yeah.
Look at, again, I need to be friends with you guys all the time. Like, what? Like, I mean, honestly, like, so amazing in so many different ways. What advice would you tell anybody that's looking to start a business? Because those same people that are seeing, we'll call it like, they're seeing where they want, they're seeing the highs and lows. They're hearing a lot of people diving in. They're thinking about doing it, but they're not sure. What advice would you give to someone that is looking to start a business or solve a problem? They don't know where to start, or they just are fearful. What would you say to these individuals?
I would say just do it, because the longer you wait, someone else could potentially be doing it, the same thing that you're doing already. And now you become like the second, third, or fourth person. And then network. Because I think for us, we were able to use our network. Like, we reached back out to Fordham and worked through their fashion legal consulting group. And they hooked us up with an attorney who did pro bono work, and we were part of that program, and they were able to help us get trademarked. And so you've got to figure out creative ways in your network. And so that would be my personal advice to anyone who's looking to launch, but maybe be fearful of it.
Yeah, I'll definitely concur with that. And I'll also add to just love what you're doing. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to get into this business, I want to do this. And they're just looking at the money aspect of it. They're only looking at the revenue aspect because they want to be financially independent. But if you don't really love or you don't have a passion for it, eventually it would drain you down, and you're not going to continue to do it. And just, it's just going to become a burden and not really something that you want to do. So first, love what you're doing, and then add all of the skills that Choua mentioned to that, and just like, mix it all up and make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to add to that. That's exactly what I would have said. I was going to say the same thing about Fordham University, how you guys reached back out to your network. We reached back out to our undergrad network, Choua and I, to work with them as well. We work with Central Michigan University in their fashion department, well, their apparel design and merchandising department, formerly known. And we actually recruited some really amazing interns for the summer through them. And I mean, they have been a godsend, just to help us. It's so amazing what we can do virtually now. We can have people that because they're undergrad students in Michigan, but they are helping us with social media. They're helping us design creative layouts. They're helping us with so many different facets of our business. They probably don't even realize how much they're helping us, because for them, it's like, it's their objectives that they have to get done for their classes, but they are really, really helping us. So I think networking, and like Choua said, get creative. And like what Ali said, love what you're doing, because you're going to get tested every day. But you have to do it. You can't hold back anymore. You just have to do it.
I love it. When we're offline, I'm going to give you 2 resources for interns that are not in the fashion world, if you're interested in that, because these kids, because of the pandemic, a lot of these kids, their internships were pulled, but also now that the world is global and you don't have to travel, and they see how easy it is to be, you just said it, how easy it is to do a virtual. I have 2 resources. I've run an internship program. I've had interns in my entire career. I mean, I was an intern and I've always had, so I will always support interns. But for the past 8 years, I've been doing virtual because I don't have to have you here. But what I enjoy about the virtual part is you have these kids that get to meet kids in other countries and get to work together as a team. They would have never done that in their schools. They would have never done that at a local place. And so, I mean, being an international person, I want to make sure that we are always having the world together. And Dana, I'm going to challenge your melting pot. I don't want a melting pot. I want a salad. I want to know where my tomato is. I want to know where my cucumber is. I want to know where all my people are. I don't want to melt you. I don't want to blend you. I want to know who you are.
Oh my God, I'm totally taking that. I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
Stealing it. No, I'm totally stealing it. No more melting pot. We are a salad. And I'm
a salad.
salad.
Because I take that from my mother's a chef, and I go home to Florida, and I go, and I'm like, I go, she's like, what do you want for lunch? I go, just a simple salad. In my mind, tomato, cucumber, lettuce. Did it wait? I'm like, I go, what are you doing? Why is it taking forever for a salad? Roasted walnuts, the shavings of the carrots. And I take a picture, I'm like, and in my world, this is a salad. In my mother's eyes, for me, I just wanted lettuce and tomatoes and cucumber. That's all I wanted. So that is like, so when I'm with people, I want to see you. I want to know you. I want to like that's when I have interns and they're from Asian descent. And they're like, I go, my name is Sally. I'm like, it is not Sally. Your name is not Sally. What the hell? What is your name? He's like, it's going to be too hard for you to say. I'm like, once I know it, just walk me through it, but don't tell me your name is Sally.
It's so funny you said that because I had the same conversation with a friend not like a couple of days ago about like how there's like naming convention, like especially for like immigrants when they come here and they try to change it to assimilate to people here, but they would never change it when they're in their country. It's like it's normal, and I think people need to stop doing that.
Well, so my name is Jodi-Tatiana, and it's funny because in Haiti, they told my mother I was a boy. Came in America, hello, and they're like, and so they didn't know what to name me because I was supposed to be Ray Jr. after my dad. So my dad says he got off the subway, and in New York at the time they used to have borough queens or subway queens. My mom says it was a borough queen. I have yet to find this woman, but apparently she was so beautiful. My dad named me after this woman on a billboard. And so it was Jodi. French people can't say the O. So when I go overseas, I'm Tatiana because no one could say Jodi. They're like Yudi, Yodi, Judy. I get named everything, but no one could say Jodi. It's so only in America, I'm Jodi. The second with my relatives and with everyone else overseas, it's always Tatiana.
Tatiana, no.
Yeah. So I didn't change it. I'm just giving you options. I'm just giving you options. Where do you see the industry going? I mean, so not even just the jean industry, not just even there's the clothing industry, because the pandemic, we are dressed halfway. We are dressed in sweatpants. We are dressed in shorts. We are dressing in our boxer shorts or in our pajamas. Where is the industry going right now? Because you're going to the big stores, they're empty. I mean, malls are open. People want to get out, but they're not shopping because they found alternative ways to shop. So what do you see, or what do you predict, in your opinion, because you're in it, what do you predict the future of the fashion world? Because that whole entire like seasonal and this and that, and the being sustainable, and like how much money and how much water is being used to create one item of clothes. Where do we go from this point on?
I think that we have a lot of work to do. Sustainability is an uphill battle that we will eventually climb. The denim industry is definitely kind of, I don't want to say pioneering, because it's obviously before the denim industry, but I think that the denim industry got hit hard with sustainability and the challenges that come with that because of all of the water wastage and all of the dyeing methods, all of the chemicals that go into it. So I think that hopefully, my hope is that we will become seasonless, that we will consume less, we will produce less. But then there's also the other side of the scale, where when you do consume less and produce less, there's less people working, right? The workforce is decreasing now. So it's an uphill battle still, but I think we will come out on top slowly but surely. And I think that as far as trends go, we are only going to just get more unique, because I think lipstick sales have gone up, makeup sales have gone up, because now we're coming out of this and people want to show their face, they're vaccinated, they want lipstick, even on Zoom calls, you want to look a certain way. So I think there are half of us will want to dress up, and then half of us will be, I don't want to say like Gen Z, but Gen Z is kind of paving their own way of how we used to dress in the 80s and the 90s. They're bringing that back, where it's like baggy is better. It's gender fluid. There's no, skinny jeans are out, although I love a skinny jean. So they're not out in my book because it's a staple in my wardrobe. So I think that's for me, that's what it looks like.
It's interesting you said about the Gen Z trend, and how people are going out, because there's a lot of like new articles online as people going back to the office. And I'm like, okay, so you've been in your PJs or your sweats for like over a year at home. So how do you dress back in to get to the office? Do you go back to the business side, the business casual, or the casual home, the casual laid back? So they like identifying all these different ways of like how people should go back, and they're predicting that people won't go back to like tight business, because you've been out for like a year and a half without being in an office and wearing only sweatpants. So there's like creative ways to find sweatpants to make it business casual, or to make it accessible for an office. So you'll be very curious to see how that's gonna go, because I'm sure people are like revolting. It's like, okay, listen, you got me used to this. Now I don't want to go back. The same way people are quitting their jobs, and be like, or same way people are saying, okay, I don't want to go back to a full-time 5 days in a week in the office. So there's a lot of revolting happening, and I think that would definitely impact how people get dressed going forward.
I have nothing to add. I think the girls have covered everything.
You do it so well. You're like, I go, you got me. I mean, I have to say that my dad was like, so I grew up in a house where, again, first generation born in America. My mother's a chef. My dad is a tailor in Haiti. I go, and then he's just like entrepreneur pretty much. And I have my grandmother that's full on businesswoman, babysitter. She'd go to the farmer's market. She'd get a big fish. She'd cut it up and she'd sell the pieces. I mean, she was like, so entrepreneurship and creativity throughout my entire life. And the whole entire concept of clothing for me is huge, because I'm not that girl where, do I know the names of designers? No. I go, does it look good in you? I will walk up to any stranger, because remember, I told you I'll talk to anybody. I'm like, I go, excuse me, your tag isn't your thing, but by the way, you look good. You look good. You look good. Wow, the bike carrier in New York, you guys know it. The bike carriers, they look good. They have a style. Everyone has their own style, and this is what I've always said. Where I don't care what label you have, but to create your style. I don't like the whole entire sweatpant thing. I mean, I'm not into that right at all. I love dresses. I will throw it on dress every day, all day. During the summer, my skirts, I have so many different skirts, because I want to have my skirt, but I'm going to climb that tree. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be creative. So I'm all about where creating your style and being that person where you show your best, but it's like a duplication of being like everybody else. Like now I'm on Zoom, I'm going to wear sweatpants, and I want you to still be you. And I mean, your glasses popped on me. I'm like, I go, the style on your dress, I go, and I could see the backdrop of like the artwork behind. I go, and although you have that blue, I see the film, I could see that the blue wall, I could see their style there. So for me, I mean, I go, I want to be able to see you, and I want to see your personality, even the littlest of things. I want to see that personality pop. And you could do that without wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that being said, it just really fascinates me that an hour goes by fast. Like, I mean, literally, yes. I tell you guys, I lie to you guys. I say 35 to 40 minutes. Never that. And this is not the last time, because I want people to understand that small businesses are not just the products. I go, it's the people. Mm-hmm. Startups, it's the ideas and the innovation that you have within you that you know you can change something that is a problem, and you guys are the solution. And so there are times where I'll just email you, like I go, hey, are all of you or one of you guys, are you available? And I'll have a couple of people from other companies in other countries coming together, because people need to see us. People need to hear our voices. I committed, like literally, this was going to be 3 or 4 weeks of just like, I'll just do this podcast for a quick second. 175 interviews later, a year and 2 months. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm finding ways, and you'll see how I'm doing. Like, I'm not going to say it right now, but you'll see within 48 hours what I'm doing to keep this alive. But I want more and more people to understand why you developed this. And so I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are so darn adorable.
Thank you.
And I love your
Thank you.
and I can't wait to go, because I mean, I only have Gap jeans, so I can't wait to go online and purchase. Because I tell people, like, oh, don't send me stuff. I want to purchase from you. I want to support you that way as well. So I want to go and check out how this works, so that I can like walk people through. I sit there and bought their jeans, and this is how it worked. So with all that being said, we have come to the end for today. The last question that I ask of everyone, so this is the last question that I ask of everyone every single time, no matter how many times you talk to me, you'll always get this last one, is if you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that's listening to you, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask? 2 answers from each of you, please.
Goodness.
That's a tough question.
Like, what if someone was listening? What would we want from them? Is that?
Yep, it's like it's whatever you want to say. Like, I go your personal ask and a personal ask and a professional ask.
Oh man.
Well, I can go. I can go. I think from a professional ask, which is also a personal ask, I would say.
It has to be separate. It has to be clearly separate. No cheating.
God, from a professional ask, I will always say, we open to network. Like network. If there's any, person out there or any business that think that there's a connection to ours or how we can help both businesses evolve, please reach out. As the girls mentioned earlier, we want to network. We want to partner. We want to help and just put ourselves out there and for the greater good, sustainability and all. From a personal ask, go buy our jeans on our website.
That's a business. No, you cheated. No, personal. I want a personal one.
From a personal one, geez. What someone can do for me personally? I don't know, follow us on social media. That's personal. Follow us on social media, share our content, help us grow.
I'm just shaking my head.
I tried.
Come on.
Okay, send me a box of chocolate. How about that? I'm a personal one.
Oh man, I can go next. A personal ask. If you're in the Dallas area, check out my brother's restaurant, Wood and Grain. I love him. He had made it through COVID-19, and he's expecting a baby in December, and he needs all the love that he can get. He's been pretty much almost a one-man show at his restaurant. Has actually grown it since COVID hit and restaurants got hit so hard with the pandemic, and so he was able to stay open. So if you're in Dallas or you're visiting the Dallas area, hit him up, Wood and Grain. And then from a professional ask, go buy your jeans. Also, if you are a factory and you want to work with 3 amazing women who we really got our stuff together. Photographers tell us this is the most organized photo shoot I've ever been in. When we say 3 hours in and out, we are legit serious. 3 hours in and out with pre-pro calls and models lined up and ready to go. So if you want to work with us, partner with us. If you're a factory who can, who wants to look and do sustainability and doing low minimum quantity runs, we want to be your partner. So Cali and Dana.
Let's see. Personal ask. Shop small and put your money where your morals are. Think about what you're buying. Your money is your power, is your voice. Keep it in your community. I think the statistics are like 67% of every dollar that you spend in your community and a small business stays in that community. Mm-hmm. Shop small, people. It makes a difference. So that's my personal ask. And my professional ask is to shop Cali Dana and stay tuned because we have new products launching very, very soon. And Jodi, don't buy the jeans just yet because you might want to buy something else. So just stay tuned, because I heard you said you like dresses.
I do. I love dresses so much.
So just stay tuned.
Okay, so you just have to let me know, because you gotta let me know. Just want you to let me know, because I'm like ready to go. How do you want to stick to your chocolate, or you want to?
I do. Do you know someone who can send it to me?
I love her. I love like yes, I do, Jodi. Don't
There's no shame in that. No shame in that.
Oh my god! All right, so there's so many other things I could have touched on about, but I am gonna, because I don't want to leave without asking this specific. Obviously, during this last summer, we had Black Lives Mattered, we had xenophobia, we had so much going on. New York, I mean, like there was just so much activity in New York. One thought from each of you in regards of what were your thoughts and what do you want to see for the future?
I was sad and angry, and I think I went to bed with high anxiety probably every night. But I do believe that we are going, like us and our generation can really make a huge change. And especially as entrepreneurs, we can use our platforms to communicate that change to our audience. And we've been able to do some of that with our Candid Conversation series, and also like helping ACE get started to support the AAPI community. And so despite all the anxiety, I think we have seen some new projects and joy and light come out of that as well. And so I would say like we would continue to, use our platform to support all of that.
I don't want to sound harsh here, but I'm gonna try to be as honest as possible.
Yeah.
With the Black Lives Matters movement and whatever happened last summer, I kind of was like, oh well, another day, another Black man dead. So, like when you numb, when you within that area and being those people and identified and pointed out, you become numb to the situation. So I mean, but I was happy to see that it really helped other diversity groups kind of like see it and also see the majority, the white majority kind of stand up for it and be like, enough is enough. I mean, that didn't stop a lot more after that, but at least there's some change being, talked about and kind of trying to be implemented. So I'll kind of like reserve my judgment to what's going to happen in the later. I don't want to say, okay, it's changed, or I don't want to say they're doing this. I want to see where people, if people are really going to put the money where their mouth for, and just, because it's easy to say, yeah, it's crazy, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But then a lot of people don't follow through. And it's been happening for years and years and years, as I'm sure you're aware. So it's like, hey, let's see what happens, and then from there, we'll judge it.
It was scary. Definitely anxiety. I definitely had to tap into my meditation more, just personally. I think that we need to just stick together. We are humans. We love each other. It makes me, oh.
I'll you know what, I'm with you, Dana, where I live in a quintessential New England town, and one of the things that made me sad was I've lived in my town for close to 13 years, and people were leaving wine, flowers, everything outside my door, like someone had died in my house. And I was like, for 2 months, literally for 2 months, I didn't leave my apartment. And for me, the podcast was my happy place. I mean, the pandemic didn't scare me. I went out for my runs, not a problem. It scared me when my own neighbors were now acting so over the top weird. They weren't mean, they were weird. When my friends that I grew up with, my friends and even family members were just acting weird, and they were saying textbook words. Mm-hmm. If I hear the word white fragility one more time, I swear to God, I'm going to punch somebody in the face, because it drove me crazy that someone is making bank off of a book. And my friends were like all on point with this book. I'm like, you know me, I know you. What are you doing? Why are you talking like this? This is not you. And so I'm with you where it made me sad. And I will wait to see what happens next, because talk is talk. And guess what? When we're all home watching it, and that's one thing, and you want to get out of your house and you're protesting, that's another thing. But guess what? The world, the country is opening. And because the country is opening, let's see what happens next. So I'm with all three of you. This is why you guys are my best friends. I love you guys. I love you guys. No, like, I mean, I am so happy to have, like, I'm so happy that this conversation happened. You guys are wonderful. I'm so happy you guys have each other. I'm so happy that you created this like brand new product line. I'm super excited for the dress.
Yes, and we have kimonos to wear over the dress.
Oh,
which are handmade by Dana. Like,
I
legit.
cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So until the next time, thank you. You guys are beautiful. I can't wait to see what else you guys create soon.
Thank you so much,
Jodi. Thank you so much. Thank you for
having
us.
You're so very welcome.